Brenna Knows Best.
Hi friends, welcome back to Brenna Knows Best. I'm your host, Brenna Berg. Hi, how are you guys? I missed you. Yesterday was Instagram Tuesday and I added those Luke Bryan, Tim Tebow photos. I hope you guys enjoyed when I was telling you that I was like right there up on stage. Oh, and then I found that video at the auction. So that video that I added, sorry, we're jumping right into it. The video that I added was from the Friday night prior. So that was an auction the night before the day of events. And my friend jokingly was like, raise your hand. And literally it was for like thousands and thousands of dollars, which I probably shouldn't have. That's not a funny joke to like pretend that you're bidding on something, but it was super early on. I think it started at like $1,000 and my hand went up at like 3,000. It was terrifying, but thankfully I was with these people that would have paid on my behalf if it did end up landing on me. I don't even remember what the thing was. It was definitely not something that I was interested in. However, I found that video going through, do any of you use Google Photos? Okay, I used to have Google Photos on my phone and I think I tried to start using it because it was helping with storage or something. You know how your phone always runs out of storage? I don't understand that issue. I also don't understand the iCloud. Like where is there not enough storage? Because I'm pretty sure it's like infinite. The fact that they make you pay, that never has quite sat right with me. I understand on the phone, like I get the gigabytes. Well, not really, but kind of. Okay, I'm not that techie. We all know this. But in like the cloud, I never really quite understand where it's max capacity. Like, how does that even happen? However, I started using Google Photos because I think I ran out of storage on something. So everything that I was taking on my phone, when you have Google Photos, I think I allowed it to just then sync onto there. That way I could delete them on my phone itself, but they would still be on this Google Photos place, cloud, whatever the fuck it is. And so I re-downloaded it because then my Google Photos became full. Okay, so then Google Photos, that app apparently also has a limit. So at one point I deleted it because it kept automatically like saving everything and I just didn't need that. And I went and got a USB that I use on my laptop. So I always transfer my photos to my laptop and then I put them on this USB. So now everything's in one place. It's a little disorganized, but whatever. But I recently downloaded Google Photos because I knew those were all on there. And then I found that video of me raising my hand and I was dying. Okay, so that was that. Wait, I actually just got a comment, you guys, on a YouTube video. I'm dead. I've been thinking about it and I want to be transparent with you because it made me like really kind of rethink everything that I'm doing with this podcast, which is so dumb because typically I don't even know if it was a hate comment per se. But wait, let me read it to you. Sorry, I'm pulling it up. It was left by George Jetson. It's a fake account, obviously, I would imagine. And he said something along the lines of how I'm good at short form content, but not long form. And I said, okay, fair. That's why I started on TikTok. Okay, let me read this comment to you. Sorry, I was pulling it up. Your delivery style works well for short form content, i.e., quick bursts of info with the occasional quip. But in the long form world, you might find it beneficial to slow down and hone in on telling a more centralized and compelling story. I watch regular guy stuff mostly, so this is a man also. This podcast isn't probably for him. However, but Brittany Broski, which I don't even know who that is, comes up sometimes and I give it a listen. You're on the world stage. The good news is we all like a good story. Best of luck, whatever you do. / me, a hater. Okay, so probably I shouldn't take this into account, but I do take every single criticism and feedback into my brain. And I'm like, okay, I get that because I do move quickly. But honestly, I'm not going to take this guy's comment. You guys need to tell me how you think it's going, what the vibe is, how we're liking the storytelling, which actually my last episode about just like our birthday week and law school graduation, a lot of people have already said like they like the stories and I get that. I also I'm an advice giver. Like that is my niche, kind of, not just on social media, but I do enjoy like helping you guys. So finding a balance. But anyways, okay, Instagram, I wanted to get that off my chest and keep it moving. IUD. Okay, I made a video yesterday about my IUD. I've talked to you guys about this before. I finally got an appointment set up to get my IUD replaced, which actually, okay, let's start from ground zero, whatever it is. So I had that doctor's appointment, as you guys know, and they did the blood work. Everything was good. So I needed that doctor's appointment to get a referral. So they finally sent over the referral letter on May 8th. Okay, so this was like my birthday week, the law school week. It was a crazy week, but I got it from my doctor. So I was like, here's a referral to this doctor at the women's whatever facility. And I then called literally on my birthday, I think, because I think I got that the night of. Anywho, I called the OBGYN place. Okay. And I said, my name's Brenna. I'm a new patient. I currently have an IUD, the Kylena, which is a 5-year IUD, and I need to get it replaced. And I have this referral, yada, yada. And the girl was like, okay, can you send the referral? And then once we get that, we'll call you back. And I said, yep, where do I send it? She's like, you can just send it to this number. I said, perfect. I get off the phone. This was my birthday. A lot of shit was going on, right? This was in the morning. So I sent it over. And then obviously we were super busy, so I didn't think about it. So I called back the following Monday and I said, hey, my name's Brenna. I've already called. I sent the referral. And she's like, I'm not seeing it. And she's like, actually, we need your doctor to send it. So I'm like, okay, that's weird because that's not what the person on Friday told me or Thursday. But I digress, right? This is always way more complicated than it needs to be. So then the next day, Tuesday, I think I called my doctor or the referral department. I was like, did you guys send this to them when you sent it to me? They're like, yes. I was like, okay, perfect. So then I call back like the next day. Okay, it just like gets so annoying and then I don't want to deal with it. I called back again. And they said, they gave me some other excuse. And I got off the phone and I'm not a presser. Like I trust that these people know what they're doing in their job. So I just listen. I'm not like, hey, you guys have told me a million different things. Like what the heck? I have the referral. I already sent it myself. They sent it. Like, I don't understand what the holdup is, but I got off the phone. So I like simmered for a few days. They actually ended up calling me one day when I was busy because I've inquired online prior, I think, to getting the referral. And they're like, hey, we're calling you about setting up an appointment. I'm like, little do you guys know, I've called you 100 times. Anywho, so finally I called them on Monday, I believe, right? And I started the phone call hot and I actually feel kind of bad. I wasn't like mean, but I was like, hey, I've called like 4 times now and every single time I'm told something different. I need a referral. I have the referral. I've sent it. The hospital sent it. Like, I just really am looking to get an appointment set up and I'm having issues getting this done. Not my own issues. Y'all are having issues. She puts me on hold for like a good couple minutes. She's like, okay, I found your referral. I was like, thank you so much. And I was like, so this is the situation. I have an IUD. I was like, I don't know if I need a consult first before they do that. Like, I don't know what, you tell me, you guys are the experts, but this is what I'm looking for. Obviously need a pap smear. Like while I'm spread open, you may as well just like check everything out. And I'm like, I think I would love to get an IUD just like replaced because it's easy for them to do it at the same time. Super easy. And while we're talking about that, can I tell you guys my IUD experience because I think it's helpful? I might have already shared this on TikTok, but I love this conversation. And I made a TikTok video yesterday just about the idea of getting off of birth control, which I'm like, I don't know. That's scary. Like the only thing worse than being on birth control, which actually I've had a wonderful experience, so I shouldn't even say that. Obviously, I know it's probably not the healthiest thing for your body. I get that. Not that it's bad. Like, we also need to not like villainize it because it is great for women. It does help with a lot of things. It can be super useful. It is useful. Okay, so I'm not trying to like villainize it, but I understand like our bodies naturally probably shouldn't be on medication at all. Like, that's not how our bodies were built to operate, but I'm not a doctor. I don't know. Anyways, so I love my IUD. The insertion was amazing. I'm already jumping around. What was I talking about? Oh, I made a video. And Sophia Panella on TikTok talks about her journey. She's been off of birth control for like 2 or 3 years, uses the Aura Ring and natural cycles, which there's so many things that are annoying about that. Just number one, paying. Both of those things are subscription, which is just annoying to me. Like, I don't know, which it's only $20 or $25 a month, but that's also not nothing. Okay, when I could just have an IUD, not have to think about it. That's another thing. Like the stress I feel if I got off birth control, worrying if I'm pregnant, even if I'm following it to a T, I feel like there's always the possibility. So I think that would stress me out. But there's a lot of different things and it's all individual and personalized. But I also know when I was doing research for the IUD, I was terrified, not actually because you got to take people's opinions with a grain of salt, but when you Google IUD insertion, there are so many horror stories, passing out, their body's rejecting it, which is a foreign object. Your body could reject that. I know the one in the arm, I remember in college, so many girls getting that implant and then having issues with it, like throwing up, like so many issues. So that's always scary. And this is why I want to share my story, because my insertion was the easiest, most wonderful thing. And I have not thought about birth control ever since. Like I've not had to think about if it's work, like anything. So I got mine at Planned Parenthood in Moorhead when I was in college. And I went in, okay, so they were doing a pap smear at the same time because I think I was about 21 or just turned 22 actually. And I had been on the pill prior. The pill didn't work for me. Okay, let's just get this all out of the way. I hope I haven't talked about this before, but oh yeah, I kind of did. Oh shit, I already talked about this because I told you with the pill, I had my period a million times. Anyways, okay, so, but the IUD insertion, I don't think I talked about. I was spread open, right? They did the pap smear first and then she inserted it. It was like no issues. After I was crampy, but that's it. So I think the removal of an IUD, what I'm gathering, is super easy. Like some people have even done it at their home. If you could feel the strings up in your vagina, you could pull it out, which isn't the best idea in case something goes wrong, but I'm just saying. So I think that takes like 2 seconds. They just like grab the strings with a forceps or like a tweezer and they pull it out. And then the insertion I've already done, which I'm sure like obviously it's agitating your uterus or whatever, but it really wasn't that bad. So I think I am going to get one inserted. Oh, but the problem is I asked her on the phone. I was like, okay, so do I need a consult? And she's like, no, we can definitely do the removal, but you'll have to wait to do the insertion because they need to order it. I'm like, number one, don't you just have IUDs on hand? Do you individually order them every time somebody wants them? That's crazy. And number two, like I'm already there spread open. Like I think it's so easy for them to do it at the same time. So I'm really hoping that that woman didn't know what she was talking about, which the setting up of the appointment has already been a shit show. So I'm hoping that that is the case. Okay, that way I can get it, because also technically my Kyleena expired at the beginning of May. So like right now I don't know if it doesn't shut off. I don't even really understand how it works. I get that it gives off hormones, but how does this little T, is it just like filled with more hormones than you can ever imagine? So it's constantly giving them off and at the 5-year mark, it's empty. I don't know how it works. I really don't. And that's probably not good of me. I was Googling it yesterday and that's the information that I gathered, but I'm praying, hoping that they can just insert it when I go. But I have my appointment June 3rd. It's a Monday at 2:15. So stay tuned for that. Okay. And if that was helpful for anybody, if you're on birth control, like I do highly recommend it. Super individual. Don't get off of it. And also the state you live in, like what's happening with women's health right now, which also might be the reason that they don't order it until after now. Carter was saying that. He's like, do you think it has anything to do with like the new like sort of laws and things? And I was like, oh, that's such a good point. Probably, maybe. I don't know. But anyways, that's my IUD story. Okay, I have more stories, but first let's talk about books. Okay, I read last week The Club by Ellery Lloyd, and I learned something so interesting on the back. Ellery Lloyd, it's a husband and wife writing team. So that's like not a real name. Colette Lyons and Paul Valitos. But okay, The Club, like I was telling you about going to Soho House. If you don't know what Soho House is, it's like this exclusive club that you pay lots of money for like, it's not even like rich and famous people. It's just like people in the arts kind of. This woman worked for Soho House. So definitely this idea came from that. So The Club is like a Soho House. So basically all of these people were invited to a launch party at this new club that they're opening, right, on an island, and murders happen and there's like a ton of shit that goes down. I will say, you guys know I loved the Lucy Foley books, The Paris Apartment and The Guest List. Okay, I know some of you didn't like those books, and a lot of you that I'm realizing that didn't like those books didn't like them because you listened and the author read it, I think, not in French, but with like an accent. So that would be confusing. I think reading it is helpful. However, the one like sort of downfall that I see people have is when there are a lot of characters. I know that's sometimes hard for people to follow. This has like quite a few different characters. So if you get like easily overwhelmed and like can't keep track, this is not your book, but this is honestly so similar to Lucy Foley's book. So I did really enjoy this. I still like Lucy Foley's more, but I loved this concept. And then you guys, I read this, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson, and I loved it immediately. Like it hooks you in. My only complaint is it's written for high schoolers. And I don't know if that's true. I'm just saying that. It's like, for example, if it's like, she read the note that John left in Kimmy's locker. I'm making this up. Okay. And it said, "I'll kill you, bitch." And then it will like follow that and say, this meaning that he is now a suspect. Like instead of it letting you figure out the things itself, you know, it like explicitly says, like it's so cheesy at times. I wish I could find an example. It's just like, yeah, I got that. Like it had me cringing a little bit. And it's like, so they're in high school. So like, it's just a little bit not childish. It's still good. It's like a murder mystery. There was a guy who was murdered. Oh, whoa. A girl who was murdered. And then they assumed it was the boyfriend and then he killed himself. So there was like, no way, this happened 5 years ago. So that was the story and that was it. They never looked into it. And it ended up not being the case. Like the boyfriend had gotten murdered and she had been murdered. It was like all set up to look like he did it and then committed suicide. So it was really good. And now after that, okay, sorry, I'm leaning over. This is the sequel to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This one's called Good Girl, Bad Blood, Holly Jackson. So basically this girl that like put it together. So basically a girl for her senior project in high school did her capstone project on that murder case. And she was like she wanted to solve it. Like she had a deep hunch that the boyfriend didn't kill the girlfriend. Okay, sorry, I'm really trying not to spoil this. But anyway, so she ended up doing her senior project on it. And now she came out with a podcast. Her first season was about that and like putting all the pieces together and all of her interviews that she did. So now somebody went missing in the town, her friend's brother, and she's like in real time documenting it on the podcast because she also wanted to use it for people to like help. Like if you've seen him, send in photos, yada, yada. But she's also like interviewing people again. So really good. Again, it is like a little bit not childish. It's a good book. Don't get me wrong. I can't put it down because it starts immediately and then you're like in it, like trying to figure out what happened. But it is like a little bit cheesy. And then you guys, okay, this is what I really wanted to talk to you about. Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Okay. I got this book from my best friend. I am picking them up from the airport today, but last week, my best friend and her boyfriend went to Denver. So they asked me if I could take them to the airport and I haven't seen them in a long time. So I went, hung out for a second, and then I took them to the airport. And we've been talking about exchanging books and she just read this. And I know this is like the biggest book of the century. Speaking of, I was telling Carter about it and I looked up on Goodreads. You guys, I don't look at Goodreads ever, except if I want to get a general idea of reviews or if I'm trying to find something similar to a book that I've read that I like. But I pulled this up and you know how on Goodreads, people are terrifying. Like I'll read a book, right? I'm like 5 stars. It was good. I go on there. The average is like 3.2. People are so harsh. It actually blows my mind. I'm like, that is crazy. I don't think I've ever seen a book with higher than a 4.0, to be honest. Like typically, even the good books that I've read, they're like 3.9, maybe 4.0 something, but like never, ever, ever like highly above 4. Fourth Wing not only has 1,600,000 reviews, it has like a 4.62 rating. Okay, do you hear me? 4.62. I was like trying to explain to Carter that that's insane. I was like, I've never literally seen anything above a 4, but then 1,600,000 ratings. That's insane. However, I'm going to be fully transparent with you guys right now. I'm really scared about the fantasy aspect. I'm just telling you as it is. And I know a lot of you are thinking right now, Brenna, I promise it's good. You'll love it. I'm terrified. But my best friend who gave this to me said she felt the same way. Okay. Like she wasn't sure if she would get into it and she loved it. So I'm trying to be hopeful. I haven't even read like the summary. This is a hardcover and she took off the paper covering, which I love. I do that with all my books because they just end up getting ruined and crinkled. But I don't want to even like read what it's about. I've literally no idea what this book is about. Anything. I've never read. And most of the books I read, actually, now that I'm thinking about that, I don't even read the storyline. Like I never read the back of the book. What do you call that? It's not the summary, but like the prelude. I don't know what you call that. But I never read it. So I'm just going blindly into this book. And that's that. So I think I'm going to finish Good Girl, Bad Blood either tonight or tomorrow. And then me and Carter are going to San Diego without giving too much information. It's a quick family little trip. So we leave Friday night and then we come back Monday. It's for like a little event for one of his family members. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I really should talk to you guys about this because you would love that. But I'm trying to keep some slivers of Carter and his family to his family. Like it really has nothing to even do with Carter. Like they don't need me telling everything about their family life and details, but I'm going to read this on the plane. So I want to finish this book and then I'm going to start this one next. So then over the weekend, I don't know if I'll be able to read much while we're there, but on the plane, because the plane ride is like 2.5 hours. And also that leads me, this weekend is Memorial Day weekend. And I asked May's previous family, I said, what are you guys doing? Which now they travel a lot because the dad is like partially retired and they spend all of their wonderful money like going on trips. So they're not home, which they used to go out to a lake here. Well, I used to go with them all of the time. So I thought maybe for Memorial Day weekend they were going, but they're not. And then I asked the previous dog sitters that May has had that I found on Rover. Everybody's busy. It's Memorial Day weekend, or they're already watching other dogs. I reached out to like 7 other people on Rover that weren't too expensive, all booked. I was like, oh shit. And this is something that I feel very strongly about. Not mixing, like, for example, dog watching with my friends, because that can get messy when it comes to like paying or like if something happened. Like I just want to always keep May separate from my friendships. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I think it's good to have just a designated person that you're not attached to. Like, obviously you like them. There was this couple that watched me last time that I did really enjoy, that I think I would like to make like her permanent, just like dog watchers whenever we go. They were busy, but I just would hate for something to happen just like with me or like with money or like them feeling like they're not getting paid enough or like, you know what I'm saying? So I never try and ask my friends, but my friends that I took to the airport, I messaged Natalie, is my best friend's name, in the morning. And I was like, hey, I've asked like 100 people and they have been wanting a dog. She actually has a dog. Her mom has a dog, a little wiener sort of situation, a wiener dog or a dachshund. I don't know exactly what it is, but they've been wanting a dog of their own. They're a couple, they live together. We're actually a throuple. So before Carter and in all of my single life in Dallas, it was the 3 of us. Like I have so many photos of the 3 of us going mini golfing together, going out to eat, doing all sorts of different things, because I was like, I wasn't their kid. We would joke that like I'm each their girlfriend and their boyfriend. I'll add some photos on next week's dump that only you guys will understand of the throuple. I'll do some of the mini golfing ones and then other photos that we have. But anyways, I texted Natalie in the morning and I was like, hey, I've asked like 1 million people. I would never ask you this, but I know they've been wanting a dog and like, I know they would love having her. But again, it's like my own thing to not mix the two, you know, like that's just something that I want to keep separate. But I'm like, it's only for like barely 3 full days. We leave Friday night and then come back Monday morning. So it's like Saturday and Sunday. And I don't think they'll work on Monday since it's Memorial Day. And she was like, oh my gosh, yes, of course. So then I get to their apartment. This was the same day I was taking them to the airport. And she was like, Ryan, like, she's like, I never actually asked Ryan, but I know he'll say yes. I'm like, is it okay if we watch Maydog? And I'm like, please, like, do not say yes just because I'm here. Like, please think about it. Like, talk if you guys have stuff going on. Like, I'll find somebody else. I didn't want to push that on them. And he was like, oh my gosh, yes, of course. And I was like, I asked everybody else. And they both were like, okay, we're offended that you asked a million other people. Now I don't want to. And I was like, no, that's not what I mean. And they were joking, of course, as well. But anyway, so Maydog is going to spend the weekend with my best friends. And I'm so excited. And obviously, like, I trust them and they'll send me photos, which I don't need. It's only 2 days long, but that's that. So I'm picking them up today at 4:15. I'm going to bring her books. I think I'm going to bring her The Housemaid and The Housemaid's Secret. And then me and Carter will drop May off on our way to the airport. I personally love driving to the airport and just paying for parking because number one, it is like the same price to Uber. And I would rather just like be able to hop in our car when we get home. We're also flying out of DFW, which if you're not familiar with the Dallas area or airports, there's Love Field, which is Southwest, which I fucking hate Southwest, but it's closer. The one convenient, wonderful thing that it has on every other airline is that their airports are rather small or like smaller, and it's closer to most city centers. So that is nice. But when I booked me and Carter's tickets for this weekend, it was cheaper to do American. So that's what we did. And I love American. Well, I don't love American, but that's who I always fly because they fly to North Dakota. But so we're flying out of DFW, which is like maybe 30 minutes drive. People like to say it's like an hour or 45 minutes. They're dramatic. So Natalie was like, do you want me to take you to the airport? Like, I've taken them 100 times. And I'm like, no. Like, it's farther. It's nice to just get back and get on our car. That way we'll just drop May off when we go up there and then we'll pick her up on our way home and it'll be perfect. And yeah, that's our weekend. I'm excited for that. I don't think we'll get to go to the beach. But even still, San Diego, actually, I was talking to some friends about this. San Diego beaches, they're beautiful, don't get me wrong. And like Torrey Pines, me and Carter go hike and then we'll walk the beach. But it's not a beach that you like lounge at because San Diego isn't hot enough. San Diego weather is perfect year round, but it's like super nice for going to the zoo or just like any sort of activity out and about. But the beach, it's never like, maybe I'm being a hater and maybe I haven't spent enough time. We went last July and we spent time at the beach, but it's like not hot. It's not like a beach where you go into the water and hang out. And maybe people are like, no shit, Brenna, nobody ever claimed that. But I think California beach, fun, amazing, running around, but it's not really like that. And I don't know why I'm even talking about that right now, but it's just kind of my grievance because I asked Carter, I was like, can we go to the beach? And he's like, well, it's only going to be like 60 something degrees. I'm like, that's perfect when you're just out and about, but not to go to the beach. Do you get what I'm saying? Okay, I'm just talking to talk at this point. I also now want to talk about, remember when I said I was going to do product recommendations? Yeah, I think I forgot last week, but this week's product recommendation, which I already talked about on Instagram, so I'm so sorry. Alani knew. I never tried this until last weekend when Carter's family was coming and his mom was like, hey, we're drinking Alani News now. This cherry slush flavor, oh my gosh, so delicious. And I'm not even like a cherry fanatic. And typically when things are cherry flavored, they're not my favorite. This drink, you guys, if you drink energy drinks, try this. If you don't, I shouldn't be like telling you to start drinking energy drinks because are they bad for you? Yeah, probably. This is like one of my vices, I think. But so if you don't drink this just because I told you to. But if you are an energy drink person, try this. I love it. Okay, there were a few more things that I wanted to talk to you guys about. Now that you guys said we should chit chat, I've been leaving so many things in my notes app to talk to you guys about. And now I'm not going to shut the fuck up. I've already been talking for way too long, but I'm going to keep going. In my notes app, I've been keeping track of things that I want to chit chat about. I think I literally just said that. Sorry, I had to pause the camera because it stops every 30 minutes. Oh my gosh, did you guys see my Instagram story about getting splashed by that puddle? I was dead. Oh my gosh. And I came home and I walk into the room. Carter was studying, but I had to like tell him about it because I was like, you will never believe. I was like dying laughing, right? I opened the door and he looks at me. He was like, what happened? And I'm like, somebody splashed me. I was like, you know when cars drive and they hit the puddle? And he was like, oh my gosh, was it targeted? Like what? He's like started getting upset, like defensive for me. He's like, Brenna, like people do that on purpose. Like you typically would avoid that. And I'm like, oh, I never even thought about that. And he was like, I'm so sorry. He like got up and gave me a hug, but I wasn't like upset. I didn't think that way, but he was like, are you okay? Like consoling me. I was like, I'm fine. But yeah, if you didn't see my Instagram story, I just got splashed the fuck out of by a puddle that somebody was driving by. And when he asked me that, I was like, yeah, there really were no other cars on the road. I said, damn, maybe I should pay attention, but I don't know what I would have done. Okay, Carter filing his nails. Oh my gosh, you guys know, which I should post a story about this. I've been keeping my natural nails, but when I know I have something coming up, I've been using this Essie nail polish. It's not gel, but it's like a faux gel. I think it's in the title. So I've been shaping them and then I put this light pink over and it looks so good. But I was filing my nails when we were watching something the other day and I'd look over and Carter, he had picked it up after I put it down and he was just filing his nails and he held them up and he showed me, he said, how did they look? But I think Carter bites his nails, which I've never really noticed him doing it. It's probably when he's studying. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be telling the internet that, but he just like was fixing them up. He said, okay, filing his nails. It was precious. Okay. What else did I have to talk to you about? I have so much written on here. Maybe I should keep some of it for next week. Let me get into the topics. Let me get into the questions. And then maybe at the end, I'll keep going about, because I have a lot of things written here, which again, please, a few girls told me that they like when I just like not shut the fuck up, but I also want it to be helpful. This week, I asked you guys about first date immediate no's. Okay, so I split them up. There were some that were like, duh. Okay, that we're going to just like discuss a little bit. Then there were some that I thought were controversial, which the reason I think they're controversial is because I disagreed with them. And then there was like funny ones, like very specific ones that girls obviously went on dates and heard. I'm going to go through first the list of the immediate no's that are like legit. Okay. When he gets drunk on the first date, no. Okay. When he invites you over to his house on the first date, yep, nope. And I actually have a story along with this. One time, which this was my own fault. I think I was just desperate at the time. It was here in Dallas. This guy and I had matched on an app and chit-chatted a little bit. And then finally, like one Friday night, I was out and about and he was like, hey, do you want to come just like have some drinks at the top of my apartment? So like not going to his apartment, but like the rooftop, because a lot of rooftops here have like pools and like lounge areas. So I go over and we go to his apartment super quick to grab the wine and then we go upstairs and it was like going super well. Like he was cool. He was normal. Like we were vibing. It wasn't like super romantic, but he was like easy to get along with. But then at the very end, he kept like filling my wine glass. And at the time I was drinking, like I think I Ubered or walked over there from my apartment, but I knew I wasn't going to like go down to his apartment. I wasn't staying there, but it slowly started clicking that that's what he wanted. Like he was like in his head, I think he was getting me drunk to like then invite me down. And he thought that was going to work. Not like in a malicious way, but just in like a hookup-y one night stand way. And I was like, oh, sorry. Like I promised my friend Chris that I was going to go out and meet them at this place at midnight or something, which was like so fake. But my friend Chris is gay, and him and his boyfriend at the time, they had been together for a long time. I would always go out with them. Like they were my best friends, and we started talking and I mentioned the fact that he was gay. Okay. This man, homophobic, like started freaking out. He's like, why would you come over here and then you're gonna go hang out with your, and he was like saying like not nice things. And I was like, holy fuck, is this like really happening right now? And I immediately, he was like getting mad, like upset. And I just slowly, I said, okay, I think I'm gonna go. And he's like, you should go. And I walked over to the elevator and I left, and I was like, oh my gosh. Well, like, thankfully he showed his true colors, because like I was feeling like it was going well, but clearly he was like homophobic and like not like just like so many issues. Okay, I said, holy shit. So that was my lesson about just like going over in general. It was so awkward. And I knew that in the moment. And that was like totally a different turn than I think just in general going to somebody's apartment. If you're seriously looking to date, going over to their apartment is just like, it's not serious vibes. Like they probably want to hook up 9 out of 10 times, maybe 49 out of 50 times, like 99% of the time. Yes, I would say. Okay. When he has no manners, that is a given. Like if he doesn't say thank you and please to the waiters, if he doesn't open your door, no. On the first date, especially like even if it's a facade, men should know by now, like, hello, have some manners. Like, duh. But especially like being rude, that is not okay. Not tipping, that sort of thing. Yes. Okay. When he talks about a future together on the first date, yeah. Some men get carried away. One girl put that he took off her ring like on her middle finger and joked and like put it on her wedding finger. I said, holy fuck, I would have sprinted out of that restaurant. Okay, sorry, I'm quickly going through this. When he is on his phone or checks his phone all the time. If you cannot take an hour or two just to like spend with me and not check your phone, yeah, that is a red flag. Okay. When he isn't groomed well or dressed properly. Somebody said a guy showed up to a first date in sweatpants. Again, it's just like, it's not that hard. And like, he's already showing that either he's a slob or that he doesn't give a fuck about this date, which is just like a no. When he asks to split the check, I've honestly never been on a first date where a guy didn't pay. So I can't like relate to this. It shocks me. And I obviously know that it happens, but I can't believe that a man would ask you on a date and not pay. It blows my mind. Oh, when prior to the date, he communicates with you on Snapchat. Yeah, you guys know how I feel. I fucking hate that. Okay. When he vapes, ew. Yeah, that's an ick for me for sure. When he's late to the date or cancels last minute, not okay. When he isn't polite to the server, we already talked about that. When he is too sexual early on, especially before a meeting. Why or how do men make sexual like innuendos prior to meeting? That is just so weird. Like why, what is wrong in his brain to think that's like, okay, I will never understand that, but it's happened to me. Like when they make like an inappropriate comment, you're like, I do not know you. And also even when you're in a relationship, like it's so immature. Like Carter has never once outside of the bedroom, like made sexual jokes. Like it's just so immature. It's so weird. So especially prior to meeting, yeah, no, it's so weird. And why have we all experienced that? Like, why do men think that's okay? It's so fucking weird. Okay. Anyways, when he gets aggressive talking about politics or anything for that matter, have you ever been on a date and you're like having a conversation and you guys have disagreeing opinions and then they get like so intense and so aggressive? It's just like, clearly you have like temper issues. And yeah, it's good though that these things do happen on first dates. So at least you can be like, oh my gosh, this guy's like an immediate no. But it's like, oh my gosh, calm down. It also shows that like, if you were to get in a disagreement about anything in a relationship, that this is how he's going to respond. Yeah, no. Okay. Red flag. When he spends the whole time trauma dumping. I do feel for them. Like, obviously, yeah, I totally agree. Obviously, these men have like nobody to talk to, because why are they doing that to a complete stranger? And just like in general, yeah, I don't like that. I'm sorry if you guys can hear May snoring. I don't think the microphone will pick it up, but she's right down by my feet and she's snoring pretty heavily. So I apologize. Okay. Oh yeah, this was like a follow-up. When in a conversation and he wants to win the argument so bad. When he just got out of a relationship, yeah, that is an immediate no. Do not date a man straight out of a relationship. If you know, okay, don't do it. Don't do it. I promise you, you will regret it. Okay. When he talks about himself the entire time, when he doesn't ask you questions about yourself, why have all of these things essentially happened to all of us? Like, is it their ego? Like, are they just so self-centered? Why is that such an issue? But it is funny because I've mentioned this to Carter before, and he said the same thing has happened to him on dates like prior, which we don't talk about previous dates that often. Carter hates it, but he's like, girls are that way too. And I'm like, totally. I think people, well, we love to talk about ourselves, but you have to have like the self-awareness to like not. And I actually, oh my gosh, you guys, when I went on one of the dates with James, if you guys remember, rip to James, we were sitting at like this pizza place eating, and we were like listening in on a date next to us. And this girl was going on and on. I can't remember. It was about like this really odd topic. And the guy was sitting there just shaking his head. We didn't hear him say a word. She was just going on. And you could just tell their vibes were different, like just the way they were dressed. I don't remember exactly, but it is hard. I think maybe people just get carried away, or they're just like not very good at socializing. Like, I don't think they're intentionally trying to, but it just happens. But when a man does that, I'm like, yeah, no. How are you not interested in me? Like, we're on a date. Don't you want to ask me questions? It's weird when they don't. Okay. When he's too touchy. Oh my gosh. You know, when the vibes aren't there and he's like trying to get close to you or like hold your hand and you're just like, oh, like, I just don't know you. On a first date, I just think it's, unless you guys are like hammered, which I don't think you should be hammered on a first date, but like, let's say you went to a bar, you met out with like friends. When there's like alcohol involved, I can understand how that happens and there's clearly a vibe. But like on a first date, when you're like very serious about dating and you're just getting to know one another and he's like trying to touch you, it's just like, oh, nothing's worse. And I especially hate it because I'm not a touchy bitch. I'm just like, what the fuck? Get away from me. Okay. When he talks poorly about his friends or family. Ew. Yes. Which sometimes, is it valid? Yeah. Okay. But not on the first date. Like once you're in a relationship, you can like say your grievances about your family. Like everybody's family has his own issues, and even your friends. Well, I don't think it's good to be like talking shit about your friends, because at this age you should only be with friends or have friends that you like genuinely love with all of your heart. I would never talk shit about my friends, but with your family I can understand. Like we all have like our family issues, but on a first date, no. Okay. And then when he mocks or makes fun of things that bring you joy, not okay. Why? I don't know. Sometimes I think they're trying to flirt as if they're in the 3rd grade and they think it's cute to like make fun of a girl. But like guys are so weird. And again, it shows their true colors. Like when you talk about, let's say you like to go shopping. Like who doesn't like, I love to window shop. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's such a, you know, they make fun of you. It's just like, okay. Like I'm literally telling you what I enjoy. And like, that's such a normal thing. Anything is normal. Like you can like whatever you like. And a guy tries to put you down. Ew, I don't like that. So basically, to all the men out there, if you're going on a first date, okay, here's what you need to do. And this isn't rules. This is just normal behavior. Okay. Be polite. Be polite to the staff. Obviously, be polite to the woman that you're on the date with. Okay. Open her door. Don't just talk about yourself the entire time. Don't make sexual jokes before meeting. Okay. Don't communicate via Snapchat prior to meeting. Okay. Don't on the first date get too handsy right away. Okay. Keep your hands to yourself. You do not know each other yet. Okay. Come to the first date properly dressed. Don't wear sweatpants to a restaurant or whatever the thing is. Okay. And do not, oh my gosh, well, I haven't even mentioned this one yet. Do not talk about your ex. Why are you talking about your ex on a first date? If you are a man going on a first date and at any point on that date you feel the need to bring up your ex, you should not be on that date. Do not bring her up. And if you have such a strong feeling and desire to bring up an ex on the first date, you shouldn't be dating. That is all. Okay. That is just weird behavior, in my opinion. Okay. But let's get into the controversial ones. There's only a couple. When he asked to meet you there as opposed to picking you up. Unfortunately, I think in today's day and age, it's better to meet your date at the first date. If you don't know them, if you met on an app, or even if you met out and about once, I think if you aren't super familiar with them, it's better to meet them there. Again, if you're in a small town or this is a friend, like you've been friends with this man, then I think he should pick you up or like can pick you up. For example, when I first moved to Dallas, I worked at Equinox and there was this guy, oh my gosh, that I went on a date with from the gym. So I'd seen him a million times, talked to him, like he was normal, he was cool, super rich, and he picked me up. He wanted to, and I knew him and I was just like coming down to meet him. So like that happened, but I had known him prior. I had known him for months at the gym, but like if you don't know this person that well, I think you should meet at the gym. Okay. When he demands to pay for everything. Somebody said a red flag is when he demands to pay for everything. I'm never going to argue that. On a first date, yes. Yes. Like let's say you go to dinner or you go to Topgolf, like he should be paying. If he asked you on the date, I'm sorry, that's my opinion. As you get into dating, maybe that's a conversation, but when we're talking about a first date, I think that is the proper gentleman, respectful thing to do. Pay. Hello. Okay, and then this one, obviously, and I know one of my followers, Kelly High, isn't a dog person, but this is for majority of people, I would say, an immediate red flag, what that a man does, okay, when he doesn't like dogs. Okay, for me, that would also be a red flag. Obviously, I have a dog that just like screams scary, in my opinion. Kelly, I love you. I get it. Some people have bad instances with dogs. They have like a traumatic experience with the dog, so I get it. But for the most part, I feel like most people would feel that way. Okay, these ones are funny. These, I think, were very specific scenarios. So an immediate red flag or a red flag on a first date when he says he's legally married. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? You're on a date and he goes, yeah, by the way, I'm legally married. Oh my God. That shit makes me so sick. I was talking to Carter about this the other day and I'm like, it just seems like so many people in marriage cheat. And I don't know if that's just like from media. I don't know why I think that, but I just have heard so many stories. And he's like, I don't think that's the norm. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to believe that, but it's so sad and it's so scary. And oh, this goes along with something. I'll talk about this at the end. Harrison Butker's speech at that college, which I want to have just like an open discussion about it. So we'll talk about that at the end. And me and Carter had like a 2-hour long conversation about so many topics because of it. But anyways, let me get back into this and we'll talk about that. Okay, when he hit a car in the parking lot and then drove away and asked me not to say anything. Can you imagine? Oh my gosh, this actually just happened. Carter's mom came back to Dallas on Monday. She went to visit a friend in like Austin or something. And then she was flying out Monday night. So we went and got dinner. And then we went over here and got ice cream at the local like ice cream shop. As we were walking to ice cream, this woman was parallel parking in this like little area, just whack, hit the car. Okay, we're like, oh my God. So we like stop walking. We're almost at the ice cream place. We're like, we don't know what to do. She gets out, doesn't even inspect it, like acts like she doesn't know that she just hit the fuck out of this car. And Carter's mom, of course, she was like, excuse me, like, do you know that you hit that car? And she's like, yeah, I know whose it is. Like, I'm gonna go tell them. Bullshit. No, you don't. What are you talking about? This is like a common like shopping area. And she just like trots along. And Carter's mom kind of like scoffed. She's like, what? And me and Carter just kind of look at each other. Oh my gosh, how are you just gonna hit the car? And Carter's mom's like, should I write the plate down? And I was like, you do whatever. I'm like, I don't know. That was so weird. And the lady just like walks over to the building. I don't know where she was going. I'm like, oh my God, just that happens on a date and he doesn't do anything. Oh my gosh, run. Okay. The I'm here text from his car if he's picking you up. That is the worst. This also, let me talk about James. I only talk about it because you guys remember and were with me. When we first went on a date, I had walked to the coffee place. And when I got there, it was closed this day. I don't know. It was Sunday. This place had been closed. So he was like, let me pick you up and then we'll go to a different one. So I told him where I was. I dropped my location and he comes, doesn't get out of the car. I just hop in. It was so awkward. Like, I'm meeting you for the first time. That should have been my first, which I knew. Once I literally looked at this man in the eyes, I said, oh, he's not that attractive, but I was like, whatever. Anyways, okay. When he wears flip-flops on the date, sir, please put the piggies away. Flip-flops, men in flip-flops, I get it. Like if you're on the beach, maybe, but it is weird. It is a little weird. Okay. I went on a first date once and he was dozing off at the table. What? How? I imagine sitting across from somebody at dinner. I just have like never, since probably I was a kid, dozed off anywhere. Like I don't just doze off unless I'm actually trying to take a nap or go to bed. That's crazy. What do you do? Sir, wake up. Hello, we're on a date. What did you do? He's me. Just snoring away at your dinner. Oh my God, I can't even imagine. Okay. When a man has crumbs in his beard, that is so funny and so specific. I honestly, you guys, this is like a personal preference. I don't really dig facial hair. Like Carter has it, his grows pretty quickly, but he like will have the 5 o'clock shadow or whatever, and it'll get like a little bit of filled in, and then he'll shave it off, or he'll keep the mustache for a little bit. But like I've never been one. Men with like grizzly looking beards, not my thing, not my type. Like that is just a specific, I've always kind of liked a baby face. But also, do you feel like, not that we owe them anything, but they don't know, like obviously they can't tell, they probably can't feel it, which brings me back to one time in high school. I was at a basketball game and I wasn't sitting in the student section because that shit made me want to hurl, but I was sitting like where the parents sit, and all of a sudden somebody tapped me on the shoulder, and I looked back and like these people were laughing, and it was like siblings of some of my friends. I knew that, obviously I knew everybody in there, and I'm like, what's going on? And they were like, your hair. And I'm like, what about it? And I go like this, right? They're like, we were throwing things. I shake out. It was not in a ponytail, but I kind of held it like a ponytail. I shake it out. They had been throwing like wrappers, and they kept getting stuck. I had no idea. I have thick ass fucking hair, right? And so I shook it out, and like you guys might think that's mean. It was like not. It was like maybe 3 pieces, but they were like dying and laughing. I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. So I feel like for men with those big beards, they don't know what are they supposed to do? Like constantly like wipe their, see beards. They just like gross me the frick out. Yeah, I don't know. I get that. That is gross. Sometimes when things get stuck in Carter's like mustache, which doesn't actually happen a lot. It just happened the other day. So that's why I'm thinking about it. I'm like, hey, cause like obviously they just don't know, which I'm not trying to minimize your feelings towards that. You can have those feelings, obviously. But that's hilarious. That is disgusting. I've just never been on a date with like a man with like a real beard. Okay. A man, upon meeting him, grabbed my love handle and goes, I like that. Oh! Immediately upon meeting, he grabbed your love handle and said, I like that. Oh my God. That is grounds for murder. What? No. Where do you get off, sir? And do you think, my problem with men a lot of the times is not like, they are dumb at times. I get that. But what really were you thinking? Do guys ever put themselves? I don't think they do. And I think this is the problem. I don't think they ever put themselves in anybody else's shoes. Like if you thought for 1 second, what would she think about this? I don't think she'd like it. Like if he just took 1 second to, but also how as a man, regardless of a woman, like her feelings, putting herself or yourself in her shoes, would you think that's appropriate? I think the problem is guys have this like notion in their head that like, let's say he thought that like women are insecure about like having love handles or whatever the thing may be. You know, so he's thinking that he's trying to be nice and be like, I like that. But like the whole thing is wrong. There is problems with every single part of that equation. I'm not trying to like justify it, but I think that is how a man thinks, as if that would ever be okay. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. That would make me literally die. Maybe I wouldn't murder him. Maybe it would just be, that was my last day on earth. That is crazy. Oh my gosh. Okay. When their lock screen is a photo of themselves? No. I've never seen a man with a lock screen just of himself. Oh my God. That would like send me into orbit. I would die laughing. I would say, are you fucking kidding me? I don't even do that. Like if anybody can do that, it's a girl. Okay, guys, no. There are things in this world that are okay for girls to do and not okay for guys to do, and that's one of them. Oh my gosh, okay. When you meet him and he says, hey, you look like your photos. Shut the fuck up. Again, I think they think it's like funny, or they're trying to give you, he thought that was a compliment maybe. I don't know, but that shit makes me want to die. This one is good. On the first date, when he talks about his mom too much, there is a good mama's boy and there's a bad mama's boy. What? Like you can love your mom so much. Like I love my family so much. They are not the topic of every conversation. They don't even come up in majority of my conversations of my whole entire life. Okay. I'm so sorry. I love you guys. That's so weird. And I don't know if one, they're trying to make it seem like, because there are two narratives. There's like the men that are in love with their moms and like their moms are in love with them. But then there's ones that like, it's great. Obviously you want a man who like treats his mom well, is nice to his mom, isn't a little bitch, but not in love with her. So I think maybe some men try and like make it seem just like they like their moms because they know that's like a good thing. But then there's guys, which you can tell the type, that are like literally in love with their moms. That I don't like. Nope. Okay. Oh my gosh, this was an experience that a girl had. She said, my go-to first date question is, what is your most controversial opinion? And one man dead ass looked me in the eyes and said, white men have it harder than anyone else. Oh, oh my gosh. No. Men are honestly so like unironically funny. People say that about women all the time, but men don't realize like how cliche they all are. Like that is like, so you can picture the type of guy that said that. You can picture it exactly. He is a not attractive man. He most likely grew up like in a smaller town, I feel, or maybe not, but like it's the conservative guy, but like also he's insecure at the same time. Like, you know, the men that are like trying to outwardly show that they're manly, but you can tell like are really insecure. That's the guy. Oh my gosh. Okay. And then the last one, when he says, I love you within 2 weeks, run. When he's planning a future, run. Okay, that is scary and you are not okay. You're not going to be okay. Okay, wait, I wanted to get back up to the top to talk to you guys about, oh, and I have questions to answer. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm only going to do a few of the questions. I actually screenshotted some. Number one, this one was so funny and I saw it this morning. This was like a very real question, not about relationships at all, which it doesn't need to be. She said, how do you get comfy in bed to read? Maybe I just need some more pillows. Honestly, it is annoying because here's the thing. When you're laying down, like almost like literally as if you're going to bed, holding the book up, like your arms get tired. It's so uncomfy. You want to flip to the side, but then it's crinkling. Like that is a real problem. I kind of sit upwards. Like I try and like be sitting almost up, but then we have 3 pillows, 2 that we like use when we're sleeping and then like the decorative ones. I sit against the 2 that we use and then I use the decorative one on my lap and I kind of use it to hold up. Like obviously I'm holding my book, but then I use it to like just prop it up. That's how I do it, but it is hard. Like sometimes I find myself, I want to like lean over and like hold the book, but then you can't see half of the page. That is a very real question. Okay, next. Oh, I also saw this, which I don't think I'm qualified in any which way to answer this, but I did want to give my 2 cents because that's the name of the game. She said, I'm a mom with a 23-year-old daughter, which obviously I can't relate to, but I'm finding it hard. Okay, sorry, let me start from the top. I'm a mom with a 23-year-old daughter, finding it a hard transition to parenting a young adult. Any tips? And I feel like this might be a hot take. When you have a 23-year-old, you're not parenting anymore. Now you're like a friend. In my opinion, that is a full-blown adult. You have parented and now you should just be there for her to ask you advice and lean on. Like you're no longer parenting. What are you parenting? They are an adult. They can do whatever they want and you should have already given them the tools to like be an adult and excel. If you have a good relationship or not even at all, like if they feel like you give a good advice and they need help with something, they will come to you or she will come to you. But I feel like a 23-year-old, like you're no longer parenting. You're now their friend. So like lean into that. I think you can sit there and try and parent and control them, but like they are 23 and can do whatever they want and you don't want to push them away. I, number one, can't like give probably the best advice because I don't have a child. I'm 27, but also my relationship with my parents is very different, especially with my mom because she was never my primary parent. But both of them, like even into high school, they were no longer like parenting me. They gave me like guidelines, you know, like my dad needed to know where I was at all times, even though like he never knew because he was always doing his own thing. And I didn't have a curfew or anything, which I was just a good kid. I didn't need that. But like if I needed help with something, I'd go to them, but like they weren't parenting me anymore. So then when I went to college and I became an adult, like I was so well equipped with like making my own decisions and like doing things because I know what's right, because they had done what they did when I was a kid, and then that was it. Like, I'm an adult, I can make my own decisions. So I think you are her mom, and here is the hard reality, and you see TikToks about this all the time. Like, if your kids don't reach out to you, I know that that could be hard, but you cannot control your kids anymore, and you should not want to. Like, you should want them to just come to you to like be a friend or to ask advice. And we all, deal with our childhoods and like our parental figures differently. Like, I only talk to my parents once every couple of months. And like, to some parents, they'd be like, oh my gosh, like that would break their heart. But this is the relationship we have. And if they had an issue with that, they could speak that into an existence. Does that mean I still need to communicate with them? No. But would I consider it? Yes. And that's just like the reality. It's similar to, unfortunately, siblings. I haven't seen my brother in 2 years, since his wedding 2 years ago in June. And it sucks. We were so close, and we text decently, like frequently, but we are adults with like our own very real lives. And that's just like the sad reality of it. Like, your kids no longer need you. Okay, they might want you, but they do not need you. And like, that is a reality that I think a lot of people have a hard time accepting, but it is the truth. Sorry if that's cold, but you guys know how I feel about things. Okay, how to stop attaching to every guy I talk to. If you notice this problem, I would tell you right in this moment, quit dating, delete the apps, take a minimum a month, the longer the better, to just be single and dive into your own hobbies and things. And you might be bored. You might be like, I don't know what I enjoy, but I feel like if you feel and know that you get attached, number one, separate yourself from dating in this current moment. Take a month. There's no rush to get into dating. Like, you're fine. Take a moment to like hone in on your hobbies, the things you enjoy, just like spending time by yourself. Okay. Take that time. Then when you get back into dating, okay, you might still fall into those patterns. Oh, I would highly recommend that maybe you read the book Attached. I have not read it, so I can't give my personal opinions on it, but I think for those who anxiously attach, I think that's what it's called. I don't have these issues, so I've never read the book, but I think it'd be really good to understand what attachment style you have. I think knowledge is power, and it will help you just kind of understand yourself better. Again, in this moment of like singleness, like take that time, read that book to like get to know yourself better. And then once you are back in the dating pool, I would say number one, spreading out dates like with one person. So if you go on a first date, take a minimum of 4 days until the second date. Okay. And don't text 24/7. That is also a good way to get yourself attached. When you meet a guy and you constantly start talking, you get attached to them because it just happens. You feel a sense of closeness. Don't do that, okay? Match with a guy unless he asks you on a date right away. Don't do the texting 24/7, okay? You will get attached. Say, okay, set up a date or don't, and then that's it, okay? Because once they set up a date, you're like, perfect, we have a date on Friday. Do not text them in between. Maybe a little bit of, hey, how are you? Like, how was your day? But that's it. Go on the date. Have multiple dates also lined up if you can. Still be on the app, still like set up first dates with other people so you're not just honing in on this one person. Okay. Then if the first date went well, okay, don't already be looking at their socials. Don't start picturing your life together. Keep that separate. Okay. Just still, hopefully by now, then you'll still have your own hobbies and things that you have going on. You're busy with friends, with family. Okay. Keep your life. That way, then you plan a date for a week later. Okay. You do your other things during the week. Do not text him. You do not need to be texting 24/7 in between the dates. Like, see how it goes. Just take it easy, but also be busy in your own life and don't be available 24/7. And I really do strongly believe that the texting 24/7 is so bad because it gives you this like sense of closeness when you really don't even know that person yet. And it's just not healthy. Even to then when you get into a relationship, like texting 24/7, what is the point? Like that way, when you guys see each other, you can catch up and talk. Like, I think it's really bad for us and for relationships to like constantly be communicating all of the time. So that's what I suggest for right now. But like, take a moment to just like get to know yourself. Do not go on dates. Okay. Get okay with being alone, and it really is so true, but like loving yourself first. Like, the reason I didn't get attached when dating is because, number one, I loved my own life of being single so much that I wasn't going to just jump into any man's arms. Like, I would rather be by myself, and I was so content with the life that I built, with my job, with my hobbies, with working out, with, starting the social media. So it was going to take somebody like Carter, a wonderful man, for me to, number one, get attached, but number two, like, choose to get into a relationship. I think when you are unfulfilled in your life, and this isn't always the case, obviously, but when you are not as fulfilled in your personal life, it's easy to just like grab on to a man, any man, because that person, like, it brings like this life into your life. Even if they aren't the best person for you, you have nothing going on in your own personal life. So you get like joy out of being with this person, which isn't bad. And it's okay to want a relationship. That's not what I'm saying. But I think once you really create a life that you enjoy, and you can still have a life that you enjoy and crave a relationship, but it'll be that much harder to find a man that fits into it, because you will see that a lot of people like take energy from you, or like it's not worth it giving up your alone time or time with friends to be with any man that isn't like a great man for you, if that makes sense. That is just my 2 cents. Okay, next question. Your opinion on mutual breakups and getting back together. Right person, wrong time. I did this once, and I've talked about this before. Dated a guy for like a year and a half. The breakup was mutual, not really. And I don't think any breakup really is. But he had mental health issues, which was like a really big issue, right? So then a year and a half, we did not speak. We broke up. He trickled back into my life. I thought the same thing. I was like, well, he just really had these issues at the time. Like, now it will be better. He's in a better place. He's going to therapy. We started dating again for 6 months. We crashed just the same. His mental health took a plummet. Things happened. Okay. And we broke up again. And no matter what the thing is, like, let's say it's distance. For example, I dated a guy in college. I moved down here, and then I broke up with him because I was like, I can't do this. If he would have been the right person, I would have worked for it. If me and Carter right now split up for a few months, I would not end it, because I know he's my person and I would make it work. When you break up with somebody, I don't care what the excuse is. It is somebody not wanting to put in the work. And when you say it was a mutual breakup, I think the other person just agrees, or like they fight it, like, for example, my ex-boyfriend in college, like, he was fighting it and I had given up. Okay, so I think it'd be easy then later on for us to get back together and say, well, we broke up because of distance. No, that wasn't really the case. Of course, are there some cases where it works out and they get back together and it's fine? Of course. Allison Cooch, her husband, Isaac Rochelle, I'm pretty sure they had dated, they broke up and then got back together. Like, they seem so happy. We don't know the ins and the outs, but like, obviously it seemed to work for them. So there are cases of it working, but I think that is the exception. Okay. The rule is it's probably going to crumble the same way. And of course, do whatever you want to do, but that is my opinion and I've lived it. Okay. This is a more fun question. What do I wear on a first coffee date? Okay. For example, when I went out on a coffee date, honestly, I wore the summer uniform. And if you guys haven't seen my Instagram, my tennis skirt and my tank, I wore that to my first date with Carter. I wore a different tank top. I wore that to my coffee date with James. It was cute and fun, like a little tennis dress, tennis skirt situation. Or you could do like a denim skirt or denim shorts. I'm only saying that because it's hot right now, like the summer's kind of coming. If it's colder where you live, you could just wear like jeans and a t-shirt, or like a bodysuit tank, something like casual but cute. I think that's a good idea. Yeah, jean shorts and a denim shirt with, again, like a little t-shirt or a little tank. Whatever you feel comfortable and confident in is good. Okay, so honestly, like, take my ideas with a grain of salt. Those are the things that I feel comfortable with. But on a date in general, no matter if it's like going out to a fancy restaurant or a coffee, like, just wear what makes you feel comfortable and like kind of fits the setting. It doesn't even, who gives a fuck if it doesn't? You want to feel your best on a first date, so that's what I would wear. Okay, last question. You guys, every week now I'm going to implement this where I ask you guys questions and then I answer only a few because I get so many. But every single week I want to have a segment at the end where I answer questions. I'm going to do like a main topic in the middle, which I'm still figuring out. I don't know if I loved today's as I'm filming it, like the red flags. It's fun to talk about, but it's hard when I don't have somebody to banter with. So I'm still figuring that out, but I think at the end I'm going to do questions. Okay, so here's the last one. Going through a breakup right now. He dumped me over text. I wanted to wait to have sex. He said, I love you and I will wait for you, but then broke up with me 2 days later because he said that I'm too closed off and he doesn't want to take any responsibility because it would be too heavy for him. Sorry, that was like a run-on sentence, but that's how I'm reading it. I feel so empty. I hope you see this because I really need some advice. I care about your thoughts a lot. Okay, girlfriend, you are so much better off without him. If this man, literally, number one, it seems like he didn't want to wait to have sex, and that's disgusting. And the person for you would wait until the end of your life. I just know that. I promise you that. So do not ever, to any girls out there that feel the pressure to have sex early on so he likes you, that does not matter at all. You can have sex with a man on the first date or you can have sex with a man on the 50th date, and the man for you is the man for you. So if that's the reason it's your demise, or if you are using sex to try and coax him into like getting into a relationship, that's just like toxic and bad behavior. So have sex on your own time whenever you want. And it's better to do what my girl here did because, oh, for the girl who asked about getting attached, I would say also, if you find yourself having sex early on in dating stages, stop doing that. And I'm all for do whatever the fuck you want with your body. But if you do have a problem getting attached and you are having sex with men, it is just like scientifically proven that sex makes you feel connected to somebody. So I would hold off. I think it's always, always, always better to not obviously have sex. Again, you can do whatever the fuck you want, but in these cases, always way better. I think it can make us feel like so guilty and so bad about ourselves, which you shouldn't if you like, let's say, had sex on the first date. But I think there is something in us, like it makes us emotionally connected and attached to this person. So I commend you for waiting and sticking to that, because even if you did have sex with him, it would have ended at some point. Like, this is just clearly not your person, and he's clearly very immature, and a man who can't take accountability for his own actions is just like immature. That's like the only way I can describe it. I promise you, you are going to be okay. I hate that he said, I love you and I'll wait, and then didn't. Like, that feels like it's your fault, but it's not your fault. You did what you had to do to like take care of yourself. Like, waiting to have sex is like such a good, normal thing. Do not blame yourself. There are two people in a relationship, and obviously he wasn't that honest with you about whatever is going on, because that's not a real reason to break up with somebody. But in due time, you will get through this breakup and you will be okay. Okay. And it'll all make sense. You're like, oh my gosh, once you're out of it, you'll be like, that's disgusting. And like, the way that he treated me was not okay. Let me make sure I'm like not missing anything. I feel so empty. Well, you obviously like cared and loved this person. To anybody going through a breakup, like, that's so normal. Feel your feelings, but just know, like, if something like this happened, if they broke up with you, whatever happened, not all of it falls on you. We need to take accountability, but in a relationship, there's two people. Okay. Everybody has a part to play in the relationship. He could have communicated. He should have said, like, if sex was the reason, he should have communicated that he didn't want to wait, which that shouldn't have changed your opinion, but it makes the breakup hard when you're not getting the whole truth, if that makes sense. But I promise you, this man is not worth anything. Like, it's not worth a single tear. I'm saying that, but I'm telling you to like feel your feelings. It's normal. You loved him, you cared for him, but like, this guy is scum. And the fact that he doesn't want to take responsibility, because being too heavy for him, like, what does that even mean? You are a person as well. I just like, it's a bunch of excuses. I hate everything about this man, but you're going to be okay. And I'm going to message you privately, but this is not your soulmate. And that's all I can say about that. Okay. I have been talking for an hour and 14 minutes. I think I might save some of these topics for next week's episode, or should I keep going? Let me just quickly talk about the Harrison Butker speech, because that was recent, and I don't have a lot to say. And I made a couple videos, which one of them got taken down because people reported it as like harassment or something. I don't know. There was like some sort of, I've tried to appeal it. I don't know if it got put back up. And basically in the video, all I said, which let me say, I have not watched the speech in its entirety, which maybe I shouldn't speak on something if I haven't watched the whole thing, but I saw bits and parts, which that's just the internet. I apologize. I didn't think that I needed to watch the speech because it had nothing to do with me, and that's it. I don't really care enough to watch the whole thing. It was for those people and whatever, but basically I made a video and I'm like, he's allowed to have his opinions. And apparently in the speech somewhere, he's like homophobic. See, again, I saw a few clips, I listened to a few things, and then I just made a statement, not even necessarily like in regards to him, but just for any woman feeling triggered by that and like upset, which is like very real to feel. Okay, you can feel however you want about that. I just always want women to know that you can do whatever the fuck you want with your life, with your body, and that's okay. And I get it. He was speaking to a certain group of people, a Catholic or Christian, I don't even know, school, and that is his beliefs. And people are like, this wasn't meant for the internet. Well, somebody put it on the internet, so people are going to respond. Like, it's kind of the same argument when people are like, influencers put their life on the internet so we can like hate on them. Like, they're the ones sharing it. I get it. So same thing for Harrison, but like this got put on the internet. And so people are going to respond, like, even if it wasn't the demographic that it was to. And I get that. Like, his demographic, the people he was speaking to might have enjoyed it because those are their beliefs, and that's fine. Like, whatever, that's their prerogative. However, it got put on the internet, and the thing that I was explaining to Carter, because he was saying like the same thing, it was to a Catholic, like the speech fit what it was for. And I was like, like, he, again, is allowed to like say whatever he wants. Obviously people cleared the speech. People enjoyed it that were there. And I was like, the problem and the reason, I think one of the many reasons that women are getting upset from what I took away from the short clips that I saw, I was like, men will never understand, number one, how annoying this narrative that's shoved down our throats forever about being a mom and a wife is, but it coming from a man is just especially annoying to me. Like, if that man's wife went up there and was talking from her own experience, saying exactly what he said, right? She's like, I've loved being a mom, I've loved being a wife. That's endearing. And like, women can hear from women, like, she is living that. I don't want to hear Harrison talking about his wife's experience. Like, it's just so different when it comes from a man. And I don't know if that's bad for me to say. I don't think so. I think you guys will understand. It was just like so annoying. Like, and even if, and I believe that, I believe his wife has probably told him like her greatest accomplishment is this, and that's fine. But I want to hear her say that, not him. And just like, again, I was explaining to Carter, and we started having a conversation about the nuclear family, or just like the family unit, and how it's so important that like there is a family unit. Like, it's obviously a good thing. Like, a mom, a dad, and kids is like a good thing. Number one, society, we need it. Like, if there weren't family units, like if we got away with like people getting together, having a family, having children, like the population would end. Like, we need it to keep just like humans going. Which, if you don't care about things that happen after we leave this earth, it doesn't really matter. I'm just like talking in a general sense. I get that. And I think obviously, ideally, and there's research to back it up, that like having two parents for children is like good. I think that's not something that's argumented. And here's the thing, there's so much nuance, and like, I hope none of this gets taken out of context, but like, obviously a woman who's in a relationship and her husband is abusive, she needs to get out of that and like raise her kids as a single mom. That is good. Like, obviously the ideal scenario is a healthy, loving relationship of two parents and children. Like, that is, I think, the best option. But if there are things involved where like there's abuse, like it's not a good, loving, healthy environment, then that woman needs to leave. Like, you guys know, I'm all in favor of women being with good partners or being single. Like, there's no reason in this day and age that women need to be with shitty men. Like, we have the resources, we can get our degrees, we can have jobs. Like, that is amazing. And that is the beauty of the modern day society and all of these movements and women having fucking rights, obviously. But again, there are so many levels to this conversation. And I think that's the part that people that don't understand the outrage aren't understanding. I get what he's saying, but this is what I told Carter. I was like, why did this man not go up there? And maybe he did. I did not watch the whole speech. That is my issue. And I shouldn't speak on things that I didn't watch the whole thing to, whatever. However, everything's taken out of context. Even the news is taken out of context. Everything we see online, we're not seeing the full picture. So like, let's also just get that out of the way. But Harrison should talk to the men as a man and say that he's so adamant on women being like homemakers and being wives and having kids, there are so many women out there that want to be wives and want to have kids. Duh. And you can ask any mom, any wife, like they would say their greatest accomplishment is like having kids and like the whole thing. Like nobody is arguing that. Nobody is saying, oh my God, that's disgusting. Like obviously jobs are jobs. Like they can replace you. Your kids are your kids. But talk to the men and say, hey, if that's what you want, like that wife, the stay-at-home wife, it takes a certain kind of man. And we live in a society where men have become little bitches. Okay, we see it every single day. Men that want to split the first date, that like do all of this stupid bullshit where they want the woman to like be the boyfriend. Like if you want and believe in like the stay-at-home wife culture and the homemaker, like whatever, again, there's like so many levels to this. You get what I'm saying? Talk to the men and have the men stand up, step up, and like get it together. Like I think women, we crave relationships. Like I think it's innately in us, just romantic and friendships. Like that's not the issue. There's not an issue of the women who want to be in a relationship and have kids, but the problem is finding men worth it and like willing to make that happen or able to. And also in today's society, like how expensive things are. Not everybody has that luxury. Like, again, there are so many different spots to this conversation, which me and Carter talked about, which was like so great. And I love that this speech went viral because I think it's so good that we continue to have these conversations. And your opinion, people have so many different opinions, but I think conversation is overall good because you kind of see different sides to like what people are saying. And there's so many different sides. We are all in different places. We all come from different places. But for example, like one thing I'm realizing with me and Carter is like Carter comes from, his parents have been together forever. They love each other. Their marriage is healthy and happy and wonderful. There's never been issues. And each respective parents, Carter's grandparents, are together, have always been together, have never been divorced. Like literally he comes from like the picture perfect. Of course, do families have their issues? Yes. But like in terms of like family units, like he's never had divorce in his immediate family. I come from only a broken household. My parents are divorced. My grandparents are divorced. Like I've seen so many bad relationships and so many relationships that didn't work. But also like, for example, my father, he raised 2 kids as a single dad. Like that was amazing. And that was the best case scenario for us. Okay. As kids. So like in a society where I do think it's ideal to have a family unit, of course. And like, I want that for us because this got me and Carter into the like having kids and how we raise our kids. I'm like, I don't think people are out here trying to tell women to like not be with men. Like that is not the conversation that I see. But I think, for example, I was like, the things that I spread is like, it is better to be single than be with a man that isn't meeting your needs and isn't abuse or like, you know, I think I said isn't in the wrong place, but you get what I'm saying? Being with a horrible man, that is good. Like I will teach if I have a daughter that like, of course, like if she wants a relationship, I'm there. I get it. That's like normal. That's natural. But I'm not going to shove down her throat that all she should do is look for a partner and get married and have kids. Like I'm never going to preach that. And Carter isn't either, like at all. That is the beauty of modern day. And like women can get a degree and take care of themselves. Like that is important to have self-sufficiency and to not rely on anybody. I think that is important. But it is also okay, similarly, to want a relationship. Like that is normal. I think that's innate. And it's also okay to not. And that's what I also made a TikTok video on. I'm like, I'm just so sick of people telling women what to do. Like I never, and I was telling Carter this, I was like, you never see women telling men what to do. You don't see women ever, or anybody. Like, do you? I don't see it. And I think that's what triggered a lot of people. So one of the reasons, there was a lot of things that could have triggered, and that is okay. Like, there were some people that all they took from it was like him talking positively about like the family dynamic and the family unit, which I get that totally. That's great. But there was also more to it, and like his tone and the little comment, like, you know, everybody's allowed to feel how they feel. I get that it wasn't for everybody, but it got put on the internet, and that's just that. So we are allowed to like have opinions. But I just always want, of course, like all I preach is that women are able to do whatever they want and feel good about it and not feel bad about it, and want a career and want kids or not want kids and not want a career. Do whatever, but there's so much pressure from society on women specifically, I feel. And maybe there is on men. Maybe I just don't see it because I'm not a man, but that's just my 2 cents on that. And I'm going to save my other comments for next week because it's already been an hour and a half. I hope you guys enjoy this. Again, as always, feedback. I love you. I appreciate it. I hope you guys have the best week, and I will see you next week. Okay. Bye, guys.